Grand existence, citizens of the universe. I just want to show you one thing from antiquity real quick. I invented a new word. It is chemomorphication. That is not unlike anthropomorphication, to attribute human-like qualities to the gods. And another word that I've coined is zoomorphication, attributing animal-like qualities to the gods. And I'm going to take it a step further tonight. Chemomorphication, attributing chemical-like characteristics to the gods. Now, this is a part of a larger conversation I intend on having with you all. Oh God, that I intend on having with you all in regards to classical literature, Jesus Christ, Christianity as a drug fertility tradition, and how we're going to drug hunt Christianity and tie it into its pagan roots as it should rightfully be, so that you can gain the context and understand what's actually happening in the Christian tradition and what it means when I will be saying that Christ is a drug term. And Jesus, the Christ, was a dude who was good at applying drugs. He was a pharmacomantic. Anyways, that's a digression. I want to show you a great example of chemomorphication right here in the Heracleic drug martyr. That is, if you are familiar with the mythos, with the story of Hercules, he is a drug martyr. And I'm going to show you just in the Daenergia how chemical reactions and chemical processes can be seen as a mythological, divine symbol that occurs in reality that becomes deified and turned into a godly-like procedure, which we carry on to this day. In our current reality, we read these myths and we see them largely as metaphor, symbolism, analogy of the human soul and of the psyche, and try to understand them from a philosophical sense. But I'm here to tell you that we need to drug hunt this classical literature because it is absolutely riddled with esoteric references to drug processes. And I'm gonna read you this one right here. This is basically from the Trials of Hercules, kind of towards the end. This picture here is of Hercules on the pyre. He is self-immolating. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with the story of Heracles, I'll give you a very, very brief rundown because it's late and I want to go to bed, but I got too excited when I saw this. Hercules basically, he slayed the Hydra. He shot it with some arrows, and its arrows were infected. He actually Christed his arrows with poison, and you can see I have got this word right here highlighted. That word is ekchreon, which is a form of the word Christ, which means mostly to rub on, to poison, to rub poisons on, to smear, to anoint with oils, medical oils, to anoint with drugs or natural products. Ekchreon, you'll find over here where she says, I smeared that stately robe just now. What happened was, I believe, Daenergia, let's see, oh gosh, my diphthongs are embarrassing. My pronunciation of the Mother Greek is not up to par, but Daenergia. She is Hercules' wife, and she's worried about him losing. She's worried about his fidelity, right? She wants to make sure he's loyal to her and that he's not falling in love with another woman. And she takes this drug, which Hercules got in his trials, that he got when he slayed the Hydra. The blood of the Hydra is this poison that he used to kill a centaur in one of the later trials. And the centaur is talking to his wife, and he's basically he's lying to her, but he's convincing her that his blood contains a remedy, a philtre, a love potion, a love charm, which if she was to apply it to Hercules, he would, or to anybody, they would become absolutely enamored and obsessed and totally head over heels in love with whoever applies it. I'm sure there's a linguistic key to this too, a spell that accompanies the application. But the centaur is lying. The centaur knows that his blood contains the toxin from the Hydra, and he's trying to kill Hercules and by lying to his wife and getting her to apply the poison to Hercules by telling her it's a love charm. You got to read the story. How does his wife talk to the dying centaur? It's a mess It's a mess, but it's fantastical. I do highly recommend you read it. If you're looking for a source to read, to listen to Hercules Trials, go to YouTube and type in Diodorus Library of History, Diordorus. He's got an audio book. We're talking a 1st century BC historian writing about ancient times, like a world history. It's phenomenal. I think it's book 4. It's either book. Listen to books 1 through 4. You'll listen to this story. You'll hear it. It goes on and on about Hercules. Anyways, this is chemomorphication. This is what happens when advanced chemical procedures are unfurling in the ancient times, and people who didn't have the scientific perspective that we do today begin to interpret it as a divine process, and they deify that process. This is Denaria. All right, anyways. So strange a thing has happened, friends, that if I tell you, you will marvel at my words. You'll marvel. The tuft of white wool from a fleecy sheep with which I smeared that stately robe just now has vanished. So, little background. The definition of Christ means to coat with color, to wash with color. And the definition of pharmakon, which is the word for drug in ancient Greece, also means to wash or coat with color. And so, what we have here, when you are washing or coating something with color, you use wool. It's often imbued in wool and other fine fabrics, which acts as an applicator. And so Denaria is applying an ointment, which she is smearing an ointment which contains the drug of the Hydra onto the robe that Hercules is going to use. And she's saying that Hercules is going to wear. And before anything happens, because as you know the story, Hercules puts on the robe and it tortures him, causing him to self-immolate to escape the torture, leading to his own ascension. At any rate, she's talking about this whole process of anointing the robe to apply this love charm, and she's saying, hey, this wool from this fleecy sheep that I used to apply the drugs to the robe has vanished. It was not consumed by anything within the house. No, self-devoured. It crumbled down from the stone it lay on. I will tell you more fully how this wonder came to pass. So what's she saying? She's saying this fucking thing disintegrated in front of her eyes, and she doesn't understand. None of the precepts which the savage centaur spoke when the bitter arrow pierced his side did I forget. Right? She's saying, I didn't forget anything the centaur told me, but held them in my mind like words indelibly inscribed in bronze. Okay, she's got a sharp memory. I did exactly as he told me to. She's like, she doesn't know the centaur lied yet. And she's starting to realize that something fishy is going on with this substance that he gave her. She said, I kept the ointment in a hidden place far from warmth of sunlight or of fire until the time should come to smear it on. So here we have the second indication of a chemical which is not stable at room temperature or under UV light. If you ever go out and buy a pure chemical from a drugstore, it's probably going to say on that thing, keep it out of direct sunlight, keep it away from warmth, or it's going to degrade. It's going to just dissolve in your hands. It's not going to be what you need it to be. You need to keep it at -4 degrees Celsius in an airtight container, away from sunlight, away from UV reactions, which cause radical formation, stripping things of electrons. Holy crap. Don't mind that. That's my printer falling. And out of sunlight and out of warmth to prevent that degradation. So there's our second indicator that we've got some chemomorphication going on. She said, I did just that. And then when I was ready, I spread it secretly inside the palace with the wool which I had plucked from our own sheep. It's good she knows her sources. And folded up the gift and placed it in a hollow, sunless casket, as you saw. But when I went back in, I saw a sight beyond the power of speech or understanding. By chance, I had thrown the piece of wool which I smeared. There's another Christ. We'll see it over here. Where is it? Where is it? What line is that? Oh, it doesn't have the exact line. Christ, where are you? I know you're in here. Anthropo. Kata gamma. Procreon. There it is. Procreon. Procreon is the equivalent. Is translated as with which I smeared. That is another Christ in reference to the drug. But when I went back, I saw a sight beyond the power of speech or understanding. By chance, I had thrown the piece of wool which I had smeared the robe into the blazing heat where sunlight fell. And as it warmed, it melted away to nothing, crumbling into earth, exactly like the little particles of sawdust which we see when trees are leveled. It lies there still, and from the place it fell, a curdled cot of bubbling foam seethed up. I mean, this chick, she's talking about a God-loving chemical reaction. She's talking about something interacting with the sunlight and the oxygen and a little bit of heat, causing the reaction to progress forward, which clearly disintegrated it. We might have some kind of strong acid on our hands. We might have some sort of caustic material that it's certainly undergoing a redox reaction and a radical formation with the sunlight. And a bubbling foam seethed up. I mean, we're talking, this thing it's a luo. It's dissolving. It's dissolving in front of her eyes like the rich juice squeezed from the purple fruit of Bacchus's vine when poured upon the ground. Oh, we love the purple fruit. Oh, the bubbling foam seething from the Christed poison that was reacted under light. Now let me give you an example. Maybe we can get JD's Pharmacopoeia up while I'm talking, and I can show you what I'm talking about. The example we have is kratom, Mitragyna speciosa. That is mitragynine, the active opioid alkaloid that is in kratom. It is an opioid, which means it's pain relieving, and there is Here we go. Got it right here. Let me get my screen fixated. There it is. All right. So mitragynine is this alkaloid right here, but when it reacts with oxone, that's actually not oxygen at all. That's sodium carbonate, acetone, H2O. Here it is. Oxygen, this number one right here, this is 3 different reaction mechanisms that it can come to form this here 7-hydroxy. The only difference between these two compounds right here is this OH group right here. And this OH group potentiates the opiate properties, the pain-relieving properties of mitragynine 13 times. And you can see the different mechanisms by which you can get there. One is by oxygen and light. Oxygen and light. Oxidation causes these electrons and these carbon-carbon bonds here to shift around. Oxygen from the atmosphere bonds to this carbon. It deprotonates this hydrogen, which then bonds to this oxygen, creating something that is 13 times as potent. And that's just one example of how simply exposing something to light and oxygen can leave you with something that is not entirely different from what it was before, but something that is quite different from what it was before. Something that is even more potent. Here in the Herculean drug martyr, it seems like there was an unplanned catastrophic disintegration of the drug vessel, which was the fleecy sheep wool. So this is just one example, and Hercules is absolutely full of these things. You know, as we were talking about the Hydra, his poisonous arrows, there is so many different versions of Christing going on in this myth. I highly recommend you to listen to it, and I will be back with more chemomorphication and more drug hunting, the classical literature, and Christianity. I'm coming for you very soon. I'm going to let you know why Jesus was arrested in a public park with a naked boy wearing a medical cloth around his nudity, which fell off when he was arrested and ran away butt naked into the night. It's all connected to the fertility, drug-based cults that proliferated antiquity, which is in our future, so y'all get excited. Again, I'm JD. This is Chemomorphication from Denaria. Have a grand existence.